It has been widely reported that it is virtually impossible for a former felon to restore his or her right to vote in Virginia. As a consequence, over 300,000 Virginians won't be able to vote for their choice of governor or delegate in November. Unfortunately, the largest percentage of those disenfranchised in Virginia happen to be people of color, but felony voting rights restoration is not a racial issue. Folks from all walks of life in the Commonwealth struggle to re-enter the ballot box every year.
It's no longer that kid. It could be your kid or your grandchild that made a mistake 10 years ago, but now 10 years later can't get a job because the felony is there, but most of all, unable to vote.
In Virginia, there is only one way to regain the right to vote after losing it: an application to the office of the governor. The governor alone decides which Virginians can have their voting rights restored and which can't. One person stands between a former felon and his or her right to participate in our democracy.
I think nothing is more important, nothing is more that builds up self-esteem any more than an individual being given his rights back to vote. And in Virginia, as you all know, it's been highly publicized, Virginia and Kentucky have some of the most complex and difficult laws as it relates to restoration of rights than any states in the country. And I think it's time for us to be visible. It's time for us to talk about those kinds of issues.
I think it's a part of our Judeo-Christian values in this country that we have all made some mistakes, and we have to wrap our arms around people that have made mistakes and love them back into communion with the rest of us. And I think one way into that communion is to give them the right to vote.
And I can tell you from personal experience, those who we have helped to have their civil rights restored, they do not commit additional crimes and go back to prison. They accept responsibility to be a good citizen in the community. They do volunteer work. And that's ultimately what we really want. I think that's ultimately what the Department of Corrections want. I think that's ultimately what America wants, is for its citizens who have made bad choices to have an opportunity, to have a second chance, to accept responsibility again and be a part of that community.
There should be consequences for everything that we do in our life, whether it be good or bad. But I don't think that a person should always be punished for the remainder of their term. And so I decided, after thinking about it, probably for the 6 years I've been in the House of Delegates, that what truly matters to people are the right to participate in our political process.
I have a 14-year-old son, and I can remember a few years back when Mark Warner was running for gubernatorial candidacy. And my son went to school with Tim Kaine's kids, and he was running for lieutenant governor. And I remember my son coming up to me and asking me, Mommy, who are you going to vote for? Because he had met those particular individuals, and he wanted, to be excited about me being able to vote. And I had to explain to him that I couldn't vote. And he was just like, well, why? You went to prison. You were given executive clemency. You speak across the country to young people. You do positive things in the community. Why is it that you can't vote? It doesn't make sense.
Absolutely, it's a very critical civil rights issue for Virginians, because anytime you take a person off of the voting rolls, you affect every part of their life. And if you're an American and you can't vote, you don't have the right to choose your elected representative. And to me, you're a second-class citizen. So, it may have been an extension of the old Jim Crow. At first, they prevented you from going to the polls to vote, and now, because of your conduct, they take the right away. Now, I'm not suggesting that that when you commit a crime that you shouldn't be punished, but you certainly shouldn't be punished for anything for the rest of your life. I believe in redemption.
A Voices for the Vote rally held September the 13th in Roanoke's Elmwood Park was a veritable who's who of local politicians, white and black. All showed up to support the collaborative efforts of TAP, Virginia Cares, and Washington and Lee University, who sponsored the rally. A grassroots gathering of 80 to 100 folks who turned out on Sunday joined thousands across the Commonwealth who want to see this law change.